Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Pastor Xavier in God's Grace and Covenant. Good to be with you this evening. Boy, we got a good one tonight. We're going to talk about the fact that the Hebrews took a knee during the anthem and were thrown into a fire. What's new? Y'all remember when Colin Kaepernick was in all of the trouble for taking a knee during the anthem, and then others started to do the same thing? Now, of course, you remember that he was taking a knee for a specific purpose. He wasn't trying to disregard the flag or anything like that. He said he was doing a protest due to the police brutality that was going on with his people. And until something was beginning to be done about it, he was going to take a knee during the anthem because he felt like it wasn't fair that they have to sing this song about how great everything is when everything's really not great. And he was persecuted for that. A lot of us looked at that and thought of it as, oh my goodness, this is a new thing. This is like the first time this kind of stuff has happened. And the average American, the average white person was like, oh, this is chaos. These niggas don't want to don't want to stand for the flag and all this kind of stuff. They just start saying all kind of other stuff, and caused him to lose his career, and it was a big to do. Even ended up as part of presidential campaign speeches and everything. Well, that was not the first time that that happened. Believe it or not, that happened in the scriptures a long time ago in the book of Daniel. And we're going to go over that today and see how the stuff that has happened then is the same stuff that's happening now. And the same stuff that's happening now is what's been happening then. And it is for us as a people to get with God and realize that God is the only way to get us out of the conditions that we're in. Uh, Originally, the title of this was going to be uh, Democrats, Republicans, Democracy, and Dictatorship and Monarchy, all the same thing. That was going to be the original title of this because they all are. I know some of you or guys are going to disagree with me right now and say, "Well, there's no problem with democracy." Well, when you when you sing the Pledge of Allegiance, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to this republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to this republic, not a democracy. A democracy is a whole different thing. When the founding fathers come over here, they knew that they wanted a different type of leadership in this country that was not going to be reflective of the monarchy that was back home, nor of a dictatorship that was back home. And they knew that democracy wasn't it, because democracy is pretty much what is done in the southern areas and is full of a bunch of nonsense that is the majority rule kind of thing, whether it's right or wrong. There's no morality that is justice. There's no more decency. None of that. There's no going by the laws, and we're gonna talk about that tonight. It's really not much when you really look at it today, and you look at the so-called democracy that is in this country. And I'm not just talking about brown skinned people. I'm talking about white people too. Your rights in a democratic society have been diminishing. Your value of your dollar in this democratic society has been diminishing. Your ability to survive and to live in this democratic society has been diminishing. Your rights are steadily taken away. Now, today, they're taken away in the name of fighting terrorism and all of this, but they take the Patriot Act and put the Patriot Act on you, and you're not a terrorist. Think about it. All of your rights are going away. The rights of habeas corpus and all of that. All of this stuff is being suspended, and you got people being thrown in Guantanamo Bay. and there's no recourse for them to get out. And once they're tried under that or penalized under that, there's no taking them away. They just die down there. Now, those are just the facts. You look it up for yourself. It is clear that there's a huge failure in the government system, but I don't blame the government. I blame the people that are being run by the government because you have forgot that you're in charge. You've allowed the government to continue doing their thing. And you thought, most of the white people, y'all thought everything was cool as long as they was only messing with niggas. Yeah, as long as they keep them niggas down, we'll be just fine. Did you really think that as long as niggas was held down, that at some point it wouldn't fall off on you? Is that what you thought? Well, you were mistaken, my friend. You are in the same boat and you're just a light-skinned nigga as far as I'm concerned. And you have the same issues. One of the things that's going on now is we here in Florida, there's book banning going on, and this stuff is going to go into the other states. They're removing history because they don't want to, and they have censorship that they don't want to talk about the truth. They don't want to say the truth about slavery and stuff like that because it's going to hurt somebody's feelings. I mean, I thought this was a country of sticks and stones, break my bones, names never hurt me. We're just telling the truth about a situation that happened. It's and that's that. It done happened already, but it is what it is. You don't need to take that away. The truth is the truth. You want to hide truth and do it by a law and then say, oh, we're not doing anything personal. We're just going by the law. We're going to talk about that a lot today. Affirmative action. You've taken that away. And y'all blamed it and said that niggas is getting affirmative action. Well, when y'all forced them Chinese people to take this to the Supreme Court and they got rid of it, that meant that you got it too. I don't know what the Chinese people thought they was white. They was mistaken. You're not American just because you born in America. You're Chinese. Oh, get that white man a little while to talk to you, and he will remind you what you are. It won't take long. Ask Bill Cosby. He thought that he was something else, and he found out that he is not. He found out real quick. But now when the Chinese took away the affirmative action for brown-skinned people, they ended up taking affirmative action away for their own people too. For the Chinese, the Koreans, the Filipinos, the Hispanics, for everybody, except the white people. That's what you did. You did that, thinking that you were going to stop us. You ended up putting you cut your nose to spite your face. You did it to yourself. And then as for voting, they just make new laws about the voting. They close up polling areas in our area to try to change our vote. They won't give complimentary waters out anymore. That's forbidden to do from the polling office. Just let the people out there die of thirst or bring their own stuff. I mean, it's just insane. And they say, we're just following the law. They still chop up the voting districts. That way they could consolidate their voting power and try to harness it just for the white people only. And it's all, every year is considered that they do it is considered against the federal law. But just because it's considered that doesn't mean that anybody enforces any change in it. So we get studies all of the time from the feds saying, oh, this was wrong and this was discrimination and this was racism. Okay, that's what it was. Now what y'all gonna do about it? Not a damn thing. Oh, we're gonna get a study. Yeah, but you're not gonna do anything about it. So what difference does a study make if you're not actually gonna do anything? What difference does it make to study for a test if you're not gonna show up for class tomorrow and take the test? Think about it. In the country, even the unions are losing power, which means that not only brown-skinned people positions are screwed up, It means the middle class white people's positions are screwed up. When they get us, they get everybody. Yeah, the day of you running around as a white man in this country and being completely free if you're in the middle class, oh no, you coming into the boat with us. We all about to be in the same boat. Yep, yep. So if you want to help yourself, you better help us. You better quit with this separating it by the laws and being, trying to mince your words and stuff like that. No, we're all in the same boat, my friend, because today it's a class war about the rich versus everybody else. When I say rich, I'm talking about the elite rich, not just the six-figure rich. I'm talking about the 7, 8 figure rich, those ones, the Elon Musk and all of the rest of those. Cost of living is higher in this country, but the value of the dollar is lower every single year. And now the new thing is, well, you're an American. I remember when they said that about white people. Well, you might be poor, but you're still white. That really didn't do you much good. And now just being an American not doing you much good. Not with this low dollar amount, not with wages being so low, since the unions can't do what they need to do, since y'all tying them all up with these laws. You're making the middle class poorer and poorer every year. And it's a plan. It's a plan by government officials that want to be in the hierarchy. They're not well to do at this moment, but most of those government officials are lawyers and doctors and stuff like that. And really in this country, you really know what the middle class ought to do. The first thing they ought to do is say that if you're a lawyer, you cannot run for political office. That's what they ought to do. And if you're a doctor of any medical field, so if you're a dentist, a medical doctor, a veterinary doctor, you don't get to run for office. If you're a psychologist, you don't get to run. No more, no more medical doctors, and that's any medical field, and no more lawyers. So if you're a lawyer or even a paralegal, they should be forbidden in this country from ever running for or holding a political office ever again, because they are too mischievous once they're in office with finding loopholes and everything. It's just insane, and it needs to stop. And there might be a few of the big business people that need to be not allowed the same thing, because they are causing too much stress and strife. And if they simply were not able to be there, I mean, how many of us have said that the lawyers, speak legalese and change the rules and are always looking for a loophole and all of that, and they're always being slick with something? They need to quit being in office because they do deceptive things. And that would help the middle class to stay middle class. I want y'all to think about that. You take that back and think about it. If you don't get nothing out of this study tonight, think about that. But you should get something. Now, we're going to go out of a couple of different books. We're going to go out of Daniel, Psalms, Job, and Jeremiah, and Revelation and Isaiah. This shouldn't take too long tonight. I'm going to try to move this along. Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 3, chapter 4, 5, and 6. And what those are talking about is how the Hebrews were placed in government, but the enemy tried removing them through their laws and crafty counsel. So every time that Hebrews were put in government, and throughout the scriptures, this happened. They were always put in, not because they were a lawyer, not because they were a doctor, not because they were rich or well-to-do, because they were actually slaves at the time. Yet the kings, the emperors sought them to put them in government because of their decency and the fact that they had an ear towards God, and God heard them. When they called on God, God heard them and would give them a reply. And so when that king or leader needed something or was at odds with something, they could go to those slaves and get real answers that they could not get from their well-to-do, lawyered up princes and all of that. Couldn't get nothing from them but a hard time and crafty counsel and a bunch of laws. But never, and eventually most of those kings ended up going out of business, but it was never due to the slaves. Now, and then in Daniel chapter 7, verse 19 through 28, we're going to go into them wearing out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws. And that's exactly what's happening here in Florida now. They always want to change the time and change the laws. Every time you turn around, they want to make something different by making it in the law and tell you what you can and cannot do and take affirmative action away and put you in a different time. Like we're in a time where we could do stuff, but they want to put us back in the antebellum days. Oh, if they could get us back in that cotton patch, oh, they would do it. And they're working on it. They're working on it. Then we're going to go to Daniel 8, verse 24 through 25. Through his policy, he shall cause craft to prosper, and by peace destroy many. And that sounds just like a presidential campaign slogan, doesn't it? Through his policy, because they always talk about their foreign policy, their domestic policy. He's going to cause the craft to prosper. So whatever craft they use, whatever system they use, whether it be the FBI or the CIA or the whatever, the United Nations, all of those are considered crafts. All of those different government agencies are considered crafts. And through those crafts, he will have them prosper, through the policy, whoever's in charge. And by peace, they'll destroy many. They'll always say that we're going to do the peace. Don't every time there's going to be a war, they say, oh, they're mad at our freedom. And we're going to go over there and we're going to change that government and we're going to bring the democracy peace over there. And then we're going to have them hold elections over there. And we're going to make sure we're going to monitor them. And they're not going to just do whatever they want because they corrupt over there. They corrupt over there. We have a former president being put in the court on TV right now. And we're talking about somebody else's corrupt. We done find out that the sitting president son done dropped off the laptop, done left it up at the shop, and then found all kind of foreign stuff from the supposed enemy in the laptop. Yeah. And that's now. This ain't nothing old or anything like that. And somebody else is corrupt? Really? We just got done doing a war where they say, oh, it's weapons of mass destruction. Then we find out what weapon of mass destruction over there. And our going over there tearing up stuff has caused more destruction than ever before. Now, those are just facts. That's just the truth. And then you think back in the day with the Vietnam War, which is one of the saddest wars in American history in the modern era. Before that, World War II was just unfathomable. And right after World War II, the Korean War and the Philippine War, unbelievable stuff. And World War I, all of these things were done by farces, black operations, black flag operations to get us into the war, and everything was a lie. It was a lie to get us in, but it wasn't no lie about how many of us got killed. Now, a lot of brown skinned people got killed, a lot of people that look like me. But let me tell you something. When you look at let's start back to the Revolutionary War in this country. That Revolutionary War, which was the War of Independence, and then you had the War of 1812, where the British came back and did a sneak attack and fought again and burned up the White House then, which was on 9/11, I think. That was our first 9/11, actually. See, we think this stuff is new. It's not new. This stuff has happened before. And it was the British that did it first and came and burnt the White House up and everything. Yeah, this time they come through. Some of them came through Canada, and some of them come through Louisiana. Or they did the pincer maneuver, and they did like the Hitler did, and did a pincer. But Andrew Jackson, he put a stop to a lot of it and shut it all down. But the thing is, those operations were done with false operations in order to get us into the wars in the first place. The Gulf of Tonkin and stuff like that. All lies. Saying that during World War II that the Japanese snuck up on us. They didn't sneak up nothing. We had busted the code sometime before. We knew exactly where they was out there in the ocean. Why you think we got most of our fleet out of the port down there in Hawaii? Because we knew that was coming. So we got some of them boats to safety. And we allowed a lot of those other ships that was in the harbor out there in Pearl Harbor to be massacred. Or as you say back in the day, massacred. Yeah. Same thing with 9/11. That stuff was allowed. I don't care what y'all say. Those people were running out of that building, and they were told to go right back up in the building. Well, who does that during a fire drill or a fire alert? And in this particular case, a plane that went into both buildings, and you're gonna tell people to go back? Why? Because you wanted to get as much casualties as possible, so it would make you look good when you got into the war on terror. I want y'all just think. Just think. Everybody that was able to get out should have been allowed to get out. The only people that should have died that day was the ones that was above the steps that had been encased in the fire and had partial collapse. Those are the only ones that should have died. And as far as I'm concerned, they should have had a ton of military helicopters fly up to the top of the building and get people up off of the top of that building. They could have did it, but they didn't do it. They didn't move like they could have. Do y'all remember during the Vietnam War when they were getting people out at the American embassy and they were flying them helicopters in there and flying the helicopters and landing on the rooftop of the embassy because the gate had been broke and now they trying to keep them out of the embassy and all of that. So they was going up through the roof of the helicopter. We did it there. We could have did it in New York too. You got news helicopters was flying around taking pictures of people jumping out of buildings and everything during that day. Think about this. There is concerted effort by people in the government to do the wrong damn thing. And it's been that way since way back in the scriptures. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So the other thing we're going to talk about is Psalms 83, verse 1 through 5, which is the crafty counsel against thy people. And why are we going to talk about that? Because in every one of these cases, y'all doing the same crap today that y'all was doing back then. Everything starts with stopping niggas, and then it ends up falling off on everybody else. And y'all thought y'all wasn't going to get touched. Y'all thought y'all just going to hurt us. When you hurt us, you hurt yourself. And it has been that way since the beginning of this country. So you can hang that up. Y'all need to just stop it. When we cool, y'all cool. That's really how y'all need to look at it, and just cut the nonsense. Think about it. When we straight, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But when we not straight, that's when you got problems. That's when you got problems. Because when our neighborhood is broke, guess where we're going? We're going to your neighborhood and tear up your stuff. That's what we're going to do. Now, you get us straight, you won't have none of them problems. We won't be interested in coming to your neighborhood. That was the easiest way to keep segregation. Just give us equal stuff. We would have never had a need to come to your neighborhood. The only reason that we wanted to go to your neighborhood is because y'all had the nice sidewalks, the nice streets, the nice schools. If y'all had done that with us, we wouldn't have been over there bothering y'all at all. That's the truth. Truth is, we were never interested even in integration. Y'all come up with that. We just wanted equal stuff. When Dr. King first came out and was giving his speeches, he was not originally talking about being integrated. That was not the goal. The goal was to have equal stuff, equal school, equal books, equal school building, equal pay, equal stuff in the community, equal opportunity to get a mortgage, to get a house, equal opportunity to get a loan at the bank. We would have gladly stayed in our own neighborhoods. We would have never ventured over into y'all stuff. We would have stayed right where we were at. But you wanted to hold everything to yourself, and that's what forced us to go over there. That's what started it. That's the truth. Now, also, Psalms 94, verse 20 through 23, frameth mischief by a law. Yep, we're going to talk about how y'all frame mischief by laws. And then Job 9:24. Job chapter 9, verse 24, the wicked cover the faces of the judges. Yep, and that's exactly what happens today. Y'all be knowing what's right and what's wrong. Y'all know that the DNA says that this person didn't do it, but the wicked cover the face of the judge, and y'all leave them right in the jail anyway. You're not right. It's unrighteous. It's wrong. And that's why we're always out there protesting. No justice, no peace. We would shut up gladly if you would just do what you say you're going to do. Do what you preach, but y'all lying. And then Revelation chapter 13, verse 4 through 18, no man might buy or sell unless he had the mark. Now we're going to get deep when we get to that part, because according to the governments now, people are wondering, what is the mark of the beast? And what is this? You can't buy or sell without the mark. And I've told y'all multiple times in other episodes, that beast already has its mark out. It's been out. Then I done told you who it is. It's the United States government is who it is. Now, I work for the government. I work for the city government. But I know the truth of the matter. And John Kennedy and Dwight Eisenhower, those were two presidents, and even Truman talked about this secret group within the government that do things, and they call it a military complex or something, that does things and always starting wars and all of that. And they're this different section of the government that is just do their own thing. And they're still in operation today. Look at it. I'm reiterating what's already been told. This whole study is about saying that this is nothing new. That taking a knee, that's not Colin Kaepernick. That ain't new. That's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did that a long time ago. Colin is late. But if anybody get to Colin, tell him he was not the first one. But he's doing it again because we have the same situation to this day, because we have not learned any lessons yet. We keep repeating the past over and over and over. And then we're going to go to Daniel 11, verse 35 through 38. In his estate, he shall honor the God of forces. And what am I going to talk about that for? Because all of this stuff, when they can't get you by the law, or when they have the law, how do they back that law up? They back it up with their forces. What forces? The police forces and the military forces. So at the local level, they put the police on your tail. At the state level, they put the state police on your tail. When you getting too deep, they put the FBI on you. And when you're going across the water, they put the CIA on you. And when you think you're getting smart, they'll bring the CIA and have the CIA infiltrate you here and do their COINTELPRO. They worship the God of forces. Yeah, that's how they back up their laws. Their laws wouldn't mean nothing if it didn't have backup behind it. And then we're going to go to Isaiah 28, verse 1 through 15, and find out who they really worshiping. Because when they talk about that God of forces, it's going to say some stuff about that's a God that their fathers didn't worship. That's correct. Because you're going to find out that the God they actually worship today, they have a covenant with death and hell. Now, y'all say that's some heavy stuff, but it's true. That's how come they have the vaccine and all of the stuff going on and giving you the jab and all of that. And they got a covenant with death, and they want to kill off a good bunch of us so they can only be so many left. Oh yeah, they don't mind taking out a lot. Like I say, they made all of them people run back up them stairs and go back to their offices with planes flying into the building. Now, what is that? You know that you should let them people up out of there. You tell people to get out when there's just smoke. But a whole plane done fell into the building and you telling them to go back upstairs and go to work? What? That you're looking for trouble. You wanted it that way. Those people should have all been dismissed and told to go home. There shouldn't have been anybody out in the street standing around looking at it neither. They should have been told to leave. But they were told to go back. Yeah. And then the last thing we're going to go over is Jeremiah 6, verses 11 through 14. Because you've healed the hurt of my people slightly, saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. Even the preachers be talking about, oh, there's peace. No, it's not. And especially with our people. There is a continual, and we're going to see this throughout this, there is a continual assault on my people. And we're the Hebrews. There is a continual assault on the children of the slaves to this day. But the problem is when you hurt us, you hurt yourself. You catch hell every time you mess with us. You sent us to Vietnam, but you sent your own there too. They got slaughtered right next to us. You sent us to the Philippines, you sent your sons too and got them slaughtered. You sent us to Korea and you sent your sons too and got them slaughtered. You sent us to World War II and you sent your sons too and told us that we couldn't fly the planes and we couldn't drive the boat and we couldn't do all of the specialty stuff. All we could do is be waiters and porters and stuff like that, and truck drivers and mechanics. That's what you tried to tell us. And then your sons got slaughtered. And then eventually you said, you know what, let them niggas come on in here because we getting slaughtered out here. And then we went and fought. This foolishness need to stop. And that's how come I say I'm proud to be a member of a union, because that's the one place beside the casino that they don't seem to have no too much discrimination there. Ain't nobody fussing about no discrimination in the union or in the casino. Everybody can come in the casino and spend some money and make some money. And the people that run the casinos won't allow nobody to have no foolishness going on up in there. I love it. I love how the casinos are run by the so-called Native American Indians, and they have jurisdiction over their individual casinos and have their own police, and they don't put up with no shit out of nobody. You can't come up in there messing with nobody, and you don't even got to call 911. They watching you the whole time, and they act. They're not like the average police out here in the city. No, these cats, you got to call them and hope that they come. And then when they get there, you got to hope that they don't beat you up, and you the one that called them. You ain't no telling what you're going to get. It's a roll of the dice. But at that casino, they do the right thing and handle business. Same thing with the unions. At the unions, it's pretty much no issues with, we have political issues like any other place, but we usually don't have discriminatory situations. That's not one of the things. It's a place where women can excel. It's a place where men can excel. It's a place where young can excel. It's a place where old can excel. It's a place where white can excel, or brown can excel, or Hispanic can excel. It doesn't matter. Everybody has an equal opportunity and an equal chance in the union, just like, at a casino. And that's what I like about it. That's what I like about it. Now out here in the regular world, it's a bunch of foolishness. It's a bunch of lies. It's a bunch of deceit. It's a bunch of laziness. It's just the truth. Now we're going to get on with the study. We're going to go to Daniel chapter 2, and I'm going to let the computer read to us tonight. Daniel chapter 2.
Daniel 2. And in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians, and the astrologers, and the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, The thing is gone from me. If ye will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if ye show the dream and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. They answered again and said, Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. But if ye will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. For ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can show me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, There is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was...
So they answered and said, Nobody can show you this except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh. And that was true. But then he's going to get with Daniel, and Daniel is going to be able to interpret the dream, not because he knew something, but because he had connection with God, and him and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, his buddies, they all prayed together and fasted to get the answers. And God told them what the dream was, what the interpretation was. So let's continue.
Was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain.
And it's funny because the king said, y'all are useless, and I'm just going to kill all of y'all. And that's really what should happen today in this country with the people that do the finance, because the finances in this country are so bad, and the inflation is so high, and the value of the dollar is so low, but the goods are costing so much, and the cost of living has went through the roof, but wages have not increased. So we have not done, nobody is doing what is necessary to bring us at an equilibrium. All they say is, you know what, let's go ahead and cut spending and not help the people with certain projects. And we're also going to raise taxes, and then that'll bring more money in, and then we'll be better. Well, that hasn't worked yet. That hasn't worked yet. How about we cut your services, rich man? How about that? How about we cut the food that's at the Capitol buildings across the country? How about we cut that? How about you go buy your own food outside of the building? How about there don't be no more Capitol cafeteria no more? How about that? How about y'all don't get no more health care as a public servant? How about that? How about you pay for your own shit? How about that? Then we can cut some costs. Them the cuts we need. How about that? Let's continue.
And they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, Why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would show the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house, and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning the secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon.
See what he did? He didn't say nothing to the rest of the wise men of Babylon. He went to his own people and told his boys, here's what we need to do. We need to get together as a group and go to the Father together and petition him to help us figure this out, so we don't be in the same boat as them over there. Because they not our people, but we are. And us together can be a team, and we could be a force that could go to God as a group, and he'll hear us. And that's what we need to do now. But we don't want to be together as a people. We want to be separate individuals all over the place. We want to be like this hand, all these fingers split up. Now, all this can do is slap you like Will Smith. That's all it can do. But if you put these fingers together and do this here, now you got the more power, baby. Now you got that. You got the more power, and you could do some things with this here. That's what you need.
Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night's vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth.
That's the first thing that you do. When you pray into the Father, the first thing you do is you present yourself to him, and you greet him properly, because he is the majesty on high. Now, a lot of us don't do that. A lot of us go to God and just start talking. But you really need to go to God and tell him, Father, I know who you are. And you're the blessed Holy One. You're the Most High. You're the most gracious Father and the creator of all things. You start off talking to the king like he a king first, not like he's some cat that the ATM and you put the card in and you just start pressing buttons. You don't press God buttons. I be seeing these prosperity preachers doing that kind of crap. I saw TD Jakes the other day on the internet talking about God gonna owe him. He said that. And then he tried to fix it up and he said, and God's not gonna want to owe me, so he's gonna give me what I want. You know, that's real presumptuous, my friend. That's real presumptuous to roll up on God like that. Like he's an ATM and you're gonna put the card in there and just start poking buttons and it's gonna give you what you say. That's not how God works. He don't have to do nothing. You have to ask him, will he do it? Now you can name it and claim it all you want to, but that don't mean that he gonna actually do it. And there's been times that he make you wait. It's not that he won't give it to you, but he might not give it to you right then. He's going to do it in his time. And it's going to be in his good pleasure. Let's continue.
The times and the seasons. He removeth kings, and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. He revealeth the deep and secret things. He knoweth what is in the darkness, and the light dwelleth with him. I thank thee and praise thee, O thou God of my fathers, who hast given.
Now, we already know the ending of this story, so I'm going to cut that short. God answers the prayer. Daniel gives the king the answer. The king says, I'm going to put you in my government and make you the chief of the governors. You're going to be in the government now. And then Daniel says, you know what? I got 3 boys with me, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Can you find something for them to do? And the king says, yeah, sure. And he puts them under something too. See, you don't forget your people when you're doing this here. When you get your blessing, you don't just do it by yourself. But it's too many of our people that are going and just leaving the rest behind when they should pull all the rest with them. That's what they should do. There's enough for everybody, but we tend to want to be selfish. Now we're going to go into chapter 2. Now, we're going to go into chapter 3. Now that chapter 2 was about Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego first being put into the government by this king because these slave boys could do something that the rest of these big chiefs could not do. With all their degrees and all of what they were and all their titles and experience and all of that crap, just like the people in our government today got, it ain't nothing working out well. And we're in poverty over here and the dollar ain't worth nothing. And now China is turning into the big shot. That's what they doing. I'm not impressed. And so now we're going into Daniel 3 and we're going to find out now that these guys are in there, it's going to be a plot to get them out. It's every time we finally get something, some of these folks want to come and put us up out of there and they want to do it they want to be slick and do it by law. So let's listen to what it's going to be.
Daniel 3. Nebuchadnezzar, the king, made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes, the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Then the princes, the governors, and captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then an herald cried aloud, To you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king hath set up. Whoso falleth not down and worshippeth shall the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. Therefore, at that time, when all the people heard the sound.
Now, this is their version of the national anthem. So today, when you hear the anthem, you're supposed to stand up, cover your heart, or salute, or stand at attention, and all of that. Now, these guys are about to take a knee, and we about to find out what's going to happen to them, because this is the exact same scenario. That's what it is. It's the same thing, except it wasn't for a flag. It was for a giant statue that was in honor of the king. And so when you heard the theme music come on, you were supposed to stop what you was doing, and you were supposed to pay obeisance to the statue. You were supposed to stop wherever you were, and whatever you doing when the anthem come on, you supposed to do all of this here. They march the colors in, and they call them the colors, and when that come on, everybody's supposed to not talk. You ain't supposed to do nothing. So here we go.
Down to the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and all kinds of music. All the people, the nations, and the languages fell down and worshipped the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to the king Nebuchadnezzar, O king, live forever. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sack.
See, he said you made a decree. A decree is a law. It's a law. That when they hear this here, this is what they're supposed to do. But these cats over there, they're not doing it.
But psaltery and dulcimer and all kinds of music shall fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshippeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar, in his rage and fury, commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar.
Now notice how the king listened to that little story these guys told. They were telling the truth, but he completely forgot about how these same people helped him out of a jam that he was just in a little while ago. Now all that then went by the wayside because they ain't doing the Pledge of Allegiance. They not doing the national anthem. They ain't standing for the colors. What? They taking a knee. Oh, they got to, just like the old president say, he say, just throw them out, fire them. They'd be fired and all that kind of stuff. Well, same reaction he's got. Now let's see.
Spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now, if ye be ready that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made, well. But if ye worship not.
He said, I'm going to give you one more chance. You niggas, I'm going to give you niggas one more chance. And when you hear it come on, you better act like you got some sense and you better do it. Now you got one more shot. Because it's not like I don't know y'all. I know y'all. Y'all the ones that got me out of that jam before. So before I throw you in the fire, I'm going to give you one more shot. Now let's see what they say.
Ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are.
They said the same thing to Colin Kaepernick. They say, if you don't get your tail up off of that ground and do what you're supposed to do, we're going to put you up out of here. We'll ruin everything. We'll take all of your endorsements, all of that, because we're going to tell them endorsers that we ain't going to have nothing to do with them. Everybody gonna have to cut you loose. This ain't nothing new. This ain't nothing new. Now, Colin Kaepernick is half white and half brown skin. Well, they was talking to that nigga side that he got and told him that nigga half of you better stand your ass up. That's what you better do. Or else that nigga side gonna get put up out of here. And it's gonna mess with your white side. Both y'all gonna be broke playing with me. Yeah, that's what happened. And this is the same situation right here. This is the first one.
Not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury.
Now they told him, we're not going to do it because we serve a God that won't allow it. It's not that we want to just straight up disrespect you. It's not about that. We scared of you, man. We respect you. We know you the big chief around here, and we work for you. You gave us a job and everything. We over the affairs and all of that. We be doing our work. We come in on time. We don't want no trouble with you, man. But there's only so far that we can go because our God will literally take the breath out of us if we do some mess like that. And Colin Kaepernick was like, look, I'm standing on this. I got 10 toes down, baby. And I'm standing on these 2 feet and they ain't coming up off of this ground to do what you talking about until you start, doing something about my people getting shot up in the street. I'm tired of it. Now, you know what y'all could have did real easy? Is told the news broadcasters to quit putting it out there. And then Colin wouldn't have had nothing to say because we wouldn't have seen nothing. But y'all are so want to show that. Y'all always want to show us getting shot dead in them streets. That's what y'all want to show. Now, if you would quit getting kicks off of that and quit showing it, we wouldn't know too much about it. And we wouldn't be able to be rioting and having the not rioting, but having the protesting and stuff that we do. Problem could have been solved real easy, but no, y'all get y'all kicks off of showing that stuff. Y'all love to stir that pot. Now, as for these guys, we don't need to continue with this because we know that they're going to get thrown into the fire. The king is going to say, put the fire 7 times hotter than it usually is and throw them in there. But what the problem going to happen is that God is going to send his angel and he going to help them survive in that heat. They ain't going to get touched by none of that. And then the king going to get real humble real quick and say, y'all come on up out of there now. And he going to take the people that started it and put their ass up in there and burn them up. And they going to get smoked just like that. Yep. So you're going to know it's a miraculous situation going on that God had something to do with. And you would think that the king learned his lesson after that, but no, he didn't learn it. Now we're going to go on to the next one. We're going to go to Daniel 4. And we're going to hear some interesting stuff here.
Daniel 4. Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high God hath wrought toward me. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders.
So the king in chapter 4 is doing his own personal testimony of the things that this God in heaven has done with him. So he's beginning to learn this particular God is serious business. And even though he's not the God that I grew up with, I'm starting to pay attention to him because he's proving things to me. And that whole situation with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I can't deny it. We all saw. We put them in the fire. They didn't get burnt up because God sent his angel. And it was 4 of them in there instead of 3. And when they come, I told them come out. They walked out the fire. They walked out and they weren't burnt up. The clothes wasn't burnt up. This was miraculous. Then we took these clowns that told on them in the first place, put them in, and they went to burnt to a cinder in seconds, hollering and everything. Aye! And was up in there smoking. So he started to learn this God right here is real. This God that these niggas, these slaves worship is the true God. And I need to respect that God right there. And so he's doing his testimony. And in his testimony, he ends up being a little high-minded and talking about all the stuff that he did in his kingdom and blah, 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 and not giving reverence to the Father, that the Father is the one that set him up in the kingdom. And then God told him, you going to go out into the field and be like an animal. I'm going to make you lose your mind. And you're going to be running around in them bushes looking crazy. And you're going to get nails long, hair long, and all of that. And they ain't going to know what's wrong with you. And you're going to have to let your son run the kingdom while you out there acting a fool, like you on crack. But then God is going to, once you realize that you're wrong and you give me my reverence, I'm going to bring you back. And then you can go back to being the king again. And that's exactly what he did. And he went to talk to Daniel. And Daniel told him all this was going to happen, but he didn't believe it. And then it hit him one day out of the blue. Bow. And sure enough, the way that Daniel said it is the way that it happened. Now, Daniel wasn't nothing special. God told Daniel what to tell the king. That's what's special. And then the king didn't listen, but eventually he came to himself, begged God for forgiveness, and God brought him back. And Daniel was still there, being a part of the administration. Now we're going to go to chapter 5, and we're going to be talking with the son and see what he's up to. Because his son, Nebuchadnezzar's son, Belshazzar, was like there were two kings at the time. So the king, Nebuchadnezzar, was the senior, and then Belshazzar was like the junior king. And they both had different parts of the administration at the same time. And so now we're going to see what he's going to do.
Daniel 5. Belshazzar the king made a great feast to 1,000 of his lords, and drank wine before the 1,000. Belshazzar, whilst he tasted the wine, commanded to bring the golden and silver vessels which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken.
Now, I want y'all to think about something. He having this big shindig. It's no different than what the presidents do and the governors do and the mayors do. They had an inauguration ceremony, and it's usually a big to-do. But this clown decided to go get the stolen property from the slaves and bring it, and they was going to utilize that. And they were going to take that stuff and be very shameful with it. So the things that was holy and precious to us, they took it and they was just, drinking beer and popping bottles with it and all that kind of stuff.
Taken out of the temple which was in Jerusalem, that the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines might drink therein. Then they brought the golden vessels that were taken out of the temple of the house of God, which was at Jerusalem, and the king and his princes, his wives, and his concubines drank in them. They drank wine, and praised the gods of gold, and of silver, of brass, of iron, of wood, and of stone. In the same hour came forth fingers of a man's hand, and wrote over against the candlestick.
So they took the stuff of God and exchanged it and said that this is the stuff of the gods of gold and the gods of silver. And they took God's things and attributed to some other gods. And God was furious and took it out on them immediately to everybody. Now let's see what they did.
Stick upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance was changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed, and his knees smote one against another. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. And the king spake and said to the wise men of Babylon, Whosoever shall read this writing and show me the interpretation thereof shall be clothed with scarlet and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then came in all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make known to the king the interpretation thereof. Then was King Belshazzar greatly troubled, and his countenance was changed in him, and his lords were astonished. Now the queen, by reason of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banquet house. And the queen spake and said, O king, live forever. Let not thy thoughts trouble thee, nor let thy countenance be changed. There is a man in thy kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father the king, I say thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Then was Daniel brought in before the king. And the king spake and said unto Daniel, Art thou that Daniel which art of the children of the captivity of Judah, whom the king my father brought out of Jewry? I have even heard of thee, that the spirit of the gods is in thee.
So see that the situation got scary. It was like one of them horror movies. All of a sudden, some writing is coming up on the wall, and he don't know what it's saying, but he see it up there, and he know it means something, and he like, okay, well, what do that say? Because writing don't mean nothing if you can't read it. And his knees is knocking, and he got scared, and he say his bowels are loose, so he done boo-booed and peed and everything. And I suppose I'd have done the same thing if I saw something like that. That's some scary stuff. And they say, bring in the peoples to come and tell me what this is. And none of them could tell. But then the queen remembered that boy, Daniel, that little nigga. Yeah, the slave boy. Bring him on in here. And he did it for your dad. He should be able to do it for you. And now the king got him up in there. And sure enough, the king is going to be told by Daniel, well, this one kind of easy because I know what that writing is. And this writing is saying that the kingdom about to be taken away from you. It's over. You should have learned the lessons that your daddy learned, but you didn't pay attention. And now it's over. The kingdom's done. So finish having your inauguration because it's over. And according to history, I think it's Darius from the Persians or somebody came in there and took over that same week. They came and took over, and that was the end of the Babylonian Empire. It was then dominated by an outside force, which would have been the Persians. And I think the Persians are the people that today we call Iran. Yeah. And so that was that. But then we go to the next one, which is Daniel chapter 6. And it has Darius, who's the new king over Babylon now, and he's over the new administration because they're the group that took over from the Babylonians. And guess what they're going to do with the slave boys that was in there? They're going to promote them to governorship too. Can you believe this? Every time a new group comes in, them niggas get promoted, even though they're not rich or nothing like that. They're not famous or anything like that. But they are people that have the spirit of God in them, and they're in touch with God. And they have decency and morality that the rest of these people don't have. And they're not necessarily seeking after power or anything like that. This is fascinating. And when they do something for the people, they do it for everybody benefit. And yet the others that are in power want to get rid of them because they just sick of them. They don't want no niggas up in there. So let's take a listen to this.
Daniel 6. It pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom. And over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was first, that the princes might give accounts unto them, and the king should have no damage.
So he had all of this group in there, and then he had 3 presidents that he put over all of them. And Daniel was one of the presidents. And y'all thought Barack Obama was number 1. No, this guy, Daniel, he's the first president. Can you believe that? Yeah. And he was still technically a slave at the time. Wasn't free. Fascinating. Pay attention to what the scriptures say, but you got to read them and listen to them and let God show you what's going on. It's fascinating stuff.
Then this Daniel was preferred above the presidents and princes, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king thought to set him over the whole realm. Then the presidents and princes sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the kingdom. But they could find none occasion nor fault, for as much as he was faithful, neither was there any error or fault found in him. Then said these men,
see, they busy trying to find a way to get rid of Daniel because he's not one of them. So they want that nigga up out of there. And they are searching every which way and having meetings just about this young boy, that so they can find a way to get rid of him. He ain't doing nothing wrong at all. And that's what happens to our people today.
we shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, except we find it against him concerning the law of his God. Then these presidents and princes assembled together to the king, and said thus unto him, King Darius, live forever. All the presidents of the kingdom, the governors, and the princes, the counselors, and the captains, have consulted together to establish a royal statute, and to make a firm decree, that whosoever shall ask a petition of any god or man for 30 days, save of thee, O king, he shall be cast into the...
So once again, they decided to make a law that in this particular one, it would be a temporary law because it would only last for 30 days. You couldn't pray to nobody but the king. If you wanted to take a petition to any god in heaven or whatever, it had to go through the king. You had to pray to the king to get it there. Unbelievable and presumptuous. And they knew that Daniel wasn't going to go for that. But they figured this is how we can catch him. We can catch him like this here because we know what he be doing. He be praying 3 times a day. We be seeing him because he don't try to hide nothing. And that's the thing. You don't try to throw it in people's face what you do with God, but you don't hide it either. You don't be ashamed of what you do. They should know that you are a Hebrew. They should know that. They should know that you worship the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They should know that.
The den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree and sign the writing, that it be not changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Wherefore King Darius signed the writing and the decree. Now when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house, and his windows being open in his chamber toward Jerusalem, he kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day, and prayed and gave thanks before his God, as he did aforetime. Then these men assembled, and found Daniel praying and making supplication before his God. Then they came near, and spake before the king concerning the king's decree. Hast thou not signed a decree that every man that shall ask a petition of any god or man within 30 days, save of thee, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions? The king answered and said, The thing is true, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which altereth not. Then answered they and said before the king, That Daniel, which is of the children of the captivity of Judah, regardeth not thee, O king, nor the decree that thou hast signed, but maketh his petition 3 times a day. Then the king, when he heard these words, was sore displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. and he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men assembled unto the king, and said unto the king, Know, O king, that the law of the Medes and Persians is, that no decree nor statute which the king establisheth may be changed. Then the king commanded, and they brought Daniel, and cast him into the den of lions. Now the king spake and said unto Daniel, Thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver thee. And a stone was brought, and laid upon the mouth of the den. And the king sealed it with his own signet, and with the signet of his lords, that the purpose might not be changed concerning Daniel. Then the king went to his palace, and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him, and his sleep went from him. Then the king arose very early in the morning, and went in haste unto the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living God, is thy God whom thou servest continually able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My God hath sent his angel, and hath shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take.
I see that. God saved Daniel because he followed his command, didn't give in. But he still put him in the situation. He put him in the punishment, but he protected him from the punishment's hurt. God allowed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be put in the punishment, but he protected them from the punishment's hurt. So God, just because you locked up and put into the lion's den, or put into the fiery furnace, or put into the jail, or put into the back of the police car, or put into the handcuffs, or put into an indictment, or put into you're in a criminal case, and all of a sudden you're on the newspaper and you're on the TV. Just because you're put in that doesn't mean that you're wrong. Now, there are plenty of people that actually did the crime and must pay the cost. But just because you're put in it, it doesn't mean that you're not a believer and a follower, because every one of these prophets done got put into jail. Every one of them got a record. Even the Messiah himself was put into jail and charged with a felony. And that felony had a death sentence on it. I want y'all to think about that. So next time y'all think that just because a person has a record, that means that they're not a believer or a follower of the Father, you're the one that's mistaken. You have to have discernment, because it's true. There are some people that are foul and go to jail, but there are a lot of people that are not foul and are put in there as innocent. That's a lot. People talk about, I went to the Dr. King out here for the city, and the mayor was there for the Martin Luther King breakfast, and I got to hear all of the white people there talk about how bad the white folks is and how the racism is still there. And it's just funny listening to white folks talk about white folks, but they ain't doing nothing about it. They talk about it because they know it's true. And there was a bunch of niggas up in there clapping hands. Yeah, we still can't get no mortgage. We still can't get no fair loan. We still can't get the housing that we want. To this day. To this day. Our neighborhood is not like your neighborhood. To this day. But they ain't finna do nothing about it. They ain't finna do nothing about it. That's the problem. That's the problem. They talk about it, but they're not going to actually be about doing nothing about it. It's a fascinating thing. But in this case, Daniel got put in that lion's den, but we're going to listen to the rest of this because he got brought up out of there.
Take Daniel up out of the den. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his God. And the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, Peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble and fear before the God of Daniel, for he is the living God, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even unto the end. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian.
So he even went through from Darius. I guess Darius was a Mede, and then Cyrus the Persian. He was able to go through all these administrations. So our people have continuously been put in positions of political power throughout the ages, but it was always another group, usually the group that was in power at the time, that was not our people, wanted to always get us put out. And the way they did it was by laws. And today we're going through the same thing. The laws in Florida are being changed to hurt us, but it's hurting the white people too. It's hurting everybody. Every time you try to hurt us, you end up hurting yourself. And it's going to backfire. It's going to backfire on you at some point. Now we're going to go to Daniel 7, verse 19 through 28. Now, y'all ain't going to believe this here, but we're going to read this. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, because Daniel received a vision, and these visions were beasts, but these beasts were governments, which was diverse from all others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So they had the tough look and talked a whole bunch of shit. I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Here we go again. The saints are the children of the slaves, and they always making war with us. It's always about keeping us down some kind of way. Always. Until the Ancient of Days came and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So we going to end up back on top anyway, but in the meantime, we're suffering. We're suffering. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth. So see, these beasts are kingdoms or governments, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. And right now we got people wanting to be the new world order and run everything and all of that, and be the superpower and all this kind of stuff. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So they're going to fight amongst themselves, and he going to subdue them. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. Always going to go against God. Here we go again. They're going to worship their God of forces or whatever they're going to worship, but it ain't going to be that God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're going to say that they are, but that's not who really they're going to be rolling with. And shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Once again, always looking to mess with the niggas. And think to change times and laws. See, going to do that government stuff. We're going to hold session, this congressional session, and we're going to change times and laws because we tired of these niggas. Always something they want to mess with. And they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion and consume and destroy it unto the end. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and obey him. Well, so it's all coming back. It's all coming back, and y'all need to know that. But see, before it come back, they're making war on us, which is what they're doing now, and they're changing times and laws, always trying to make things, well, it's not us. We're not doing this. Not anything personal. It's the rules. It's the law. If you don't like the law, you run for office and you get in, and then you can change the law. They say stuff like that. And then they go ahead and chop up the voting districts and keep you out and everything. Oh, they slick. They just the devil. Daniel 8, verse 24 through 25. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Once again, messing with the holy people. And through his policy also shall he cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. The Messiah gonna come down here and put his foot up that man's ass and tear that whole kingdom down just by speaking it. Because he's not gonna do it with it. He's gonna do it without a hand. He's just gonna say it and it's gonna be done. Just like in the beginning. Whatever God said is what happened. Let there be light, and there was light. Divide the day from the night, and it was done. And he's gonna destroy these people from their foolishness. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. So keep having a good time while you're having it, because it's coming to a conclusion. Psalm 83, verse 1 through 5. Keep not thou silence, O God. This is us asking God for his help. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Now, this is a prayer of the saints right here. And it ain't talking about some be nice to everybody. It's asking for the enemies to be crushed. That's what the prayer is. And because we're in a time of war. And that's how come I like them brothers in the IUIC. I like them because they telling the truth. I like them. I know they have some interesting ways. I know that. But they telling the truth. Anybody that love our people, I like them. I like them. I like Geno Jennings. He love our people. I like Minister Farrakhan. He love our people. If you love our people, I love you. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But we are striving to have betterment for our people, betterment for ourselves, and we are trying to do what's right as we see with God's word. Now, some are going the route like Geno Jennings. I guess he calls himself a Christian. I'm Hebrew, and IUIC, they're Hebrew, and Minister Farrakhan, he's Islam. So we got different faith, but we love our people, and we know who our people are. Now, because we love our people don't mean that we disregard anybody else. Plenty of white folks, and plus I done told y'all, the white folks coming with us too. The whites, the Hispanics, the Filipinos, there are plenty of people from other nations that are going into that kingdom. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So y'all can quit talking shit about all of the white people. I know white people be doing some dirt, but niggas be doing some dirt too. And as for me talking about ladies, I know ladies be on some bullshit. But let me tell you something else. Men be on some bullshit too. So it's everybody. It's not just one or the other. It's all of us goofing around, not paying attention, not staying on the mark, not striving towards where we should be going. We too busy taking pot shots at everybody, and we really need to, while you trying to get the speck out of somebody else's, you need to get that big moat that's sticking out of yours up out of there. All of us got trouble. All of us got trouble. All of us have issues that we need to deal with. We're all, wore out from this thing that's called life. It's I look at people like Prince. He was wore out too. All them wearing them high heel boots and shoes, and then hurt his feet, and he had to take something to get the pain away. And Michael Jackson, all that dancing around and skipping around and not having no weight on his body, and he had to take something to go to sleep. And they ended up no different than Elvis Presley, having to take the drugs to help him sleep too. I mean, just a mess. The things that people have to go through because of the life that they lead in. We are so broken as a people. And that's our people, white people, men, women, children. We are all broken in some form or fashion. And we really need to quit beating each other to death about our misgivings and ask God for mercy on all of our souls, because my goodness, we all are standing in the need of prayer. Every one of us. And if he wasn't merciful, none of us would make it. The only reason that the small amount of us that are going to make it to the kingdom are going is because he has cut the standard down enough that some of us will be able to get in. Because Lord knows, if he held us to the letter of the law, none of us would make it. None. So he's being very lenient and kind. I know that y'all think that God is terrible and rough, but he has been merciful to his creation. He really has. Now we're going to carry on here. It say here, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, just like they did against Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They sat up all night trying to figure out how to get them niggas up out of there. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Always trying to get rid of us. They have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. These separate groups have got together and said, we got to do something about the niggas right there. Because even though they slaves, look at what happened with Nebuchadnezzar. He done put them in the leadership. Look what happened with Belteshazzar. He done got scared shitless and he kept them in the leadership. Look what happened with Darius. He done put him the head over the presidents. Look at what happened with Cyrus. He done took them and put them in his administration too. And they supposed to be the slaves. And he done put the slaves over us. And they ain't been to Yale and Harvard. They ain't got none of the stuff that we got. And they are being placed in positions over us or next to us. And they hate it. Unbelievable. And now we're going to go to Psalm 94, verse 20 through 23. This is a good one. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? So see, this is what the governments do today. They frame mischief by a law, though. So now they can blame it on the law, like that song, blame it on the alcohol. They're trying to find an excuse for what they're doing. But really all they're doing is mischief and trickery, deceit. But they put it in the form of a law, and now we have to all go by it. And then these laws typically can't be reversed for a period of time. Just like they said, they had the one law for 30 days and the other law lasted the whole time that the king of Babylon was alive. But in this particular case, most of the laws that we got now can last for a 4-year term of a Congress or a governor, and then you can change it in the next session if you want to. They gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous and condemn the innocent blood. That's what they're doing. They hurting the righteous and the innocent that aren't doing anything to them. But the Lord is my defense, and my God is the rock of my refuge. That's our defense, because there's not a lot else we could do anyway. But God is our defense. God is our refuge. He will protect us against these folk, and he shall bring upon from their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. Yes, the Lord our God shall cut them off. He gonna bring them rules that they have set and put it on themselves. Like I said, I've been saying this. Did you think that when you do this stuff to hurt us, that it's not gonna come on you? You keep thinking that, but it's coming on you, which is exactly why you should join forces with us and tell these fools to stop it. And then y'all should prevent these people that have the position of a lawyer from ever being able to run for political office again. You should put an end to it. We could stop the stuff going on in this country. We could stop all of this headed towards Ragnarok. We could stop it. We can quit it. Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? See, even Job said it from way back in there, way back in the day. The earth has been given into the hand of the wicked. The Satan and his angels, his fallen angels, have been in charge of this place for some time. And I've been looking at an interesting thing that I've been studying that has been on the internet. Y'all know about the time that they say that the dinosaurs was gone extinct, and that it was a large explosion from a meteor that did it. Now, here's the thing. When in our modern time have you seen a meteor actually hit the ground? You haven't. On the other hand, there are some meteors that have hit something has hit the ground, but they say that it's like the size of a bowling ball or something like that. It's so small, but you either can't see the actual thing that did it, or the thing is so small it's incomprehensible that something that small could do that. So if something that small could do that, it had to be coming down with extreme force in order to do it. Or it had to be huge, but typically if something's huge, remnants of it would be left. So they're saying that, and the people that are saying this are scripture people. And they're saying that the thing that came down and blew up and caused that explosion that killed the dinosaurs, they call it Chicxulub, Chixulub, something like that. And it's down there in South America somewhere, or Central America, and that's where it landed. They are under the impression that when God was having to fight with Lucifer and the fallen angels, and the war was in the heaven, and Messiah said he beheld Satan thrown out of heaven like lightning, that was the meteor that came down here and hit the ground and blew up everything. That it was Lucifer himself cast out of the kingdom of heaven from way up top and come plummeting down here after Michael the archangel grabbed him up like this and did the what I used to like watching the wrestling, and it was The Rock, and he used to do the what was that he would do? He did the rock bottom. He did the rock bottom. Blah! And then you got the big guy. What was the big guy's name? The Undertaker. He would slam you down, and then Stone Cold would do the I forgot his move. I think his thing was the bottom line or something like that. But I love it when The Rock would do the rock bottom and slam you down. And supposedly Michael the Archangel grabbed him up, kind of like the Undertaker did with the one hand, and did that slam on him, and boom, and just sent him right down here and blowed him up and knocked out the majority of his creations. Because see, the devil did some creations. There's a reason that, remember, when God created all of the animals, all of them were vegetarian. Do you recall that in the scriptures? They all ate the vegetation. Let me look it up for you. Let me find that for you right quick. Okay, so in Genesis 1, God created the animals and all that, and he created man. And in verse 29, God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed, and to you it shall be for meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat." And it was so. So when God created these animals, all of them, so the lions, the tigers, the bears, all were herbivores. And to this day, the bears will eat all kind of berries and leaves and stuff like that. And the deer and all that, they eat all of that. The elephants, they don't eat meat. That big old giant elephant eats vegetation. That big old rhinoceros, vegetation. That big old hippo eats vegetation. That gigantic giraffe eats vegetation. Yeah, yeah. Now you have a few that eat meat, but they will also go back and eat vegetation. The bear will eat meat, but for the most part, he will go and get vegetation. So this is not anything new. The fish will eat other fish, but for the most part, they'll eat vegetation also. They'll eat stuff that's in the water. So it's an interesting thing to see this. Yet you've had creations running around down here that were Tyrannosaurus Rex. So you've got this big old T-Rex running around with this big old giant head with all those teeth. And then he's got hands that's like this, that can't do too much of nothing. but he's got this head and his teeth that is crazy, and he's got these hind legs and stuff and this supersized tail that can do all kind of things. But these hands don't make sense. The little arms, they don't make no sense at all. Well, that's because God didn't create that, and they were carnivores. God didn't make no straight up carnivore. All of his creation he made to eat vegetation, including the people. But all of a sudden, you've got this group that's running around here that's straight up carnivores and scaring everybody. Rawr, 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 and just running around, tearing up stuff, knocking stuff over. Y'all saw Jurassic Park, and they just tearing up everything and scaring everybody half to death. And then you got the little raptor things running around and just, terrifying everybody. Those are not God's creations. Those are the fallen angels. They did know how to make a few things, but they didn't have the blueprint for everything. That's why they messed up on the arms. They didn't know how to get it together. That's why the head was way bigger and all this kind of stuff. Whereas God made stuff in proportions. God knew how to do it right. These guys have making stuff out of spare parts, and it just wasn't working out too good. That's what that is. Well, God had to get rid of that, because if we had Tyrannosaurus Rex running around here now, none of us would be able to be in the house. It's bad enough having a stray dog running around outside. Could you imagine if Tyrannosaurus Rex and a bunch of raptors were running around outside, what we would go through? I mean, up there in Georgia, across the border, there's wild boars out there and a few bears and stuff like that. But people pretty much can deal with those. But could you imagine looking outside and there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex in your backyard? Or a pack of raptors sitting out in front of out behind you, by your car in the morning when you was getting ready to go to work? Could you imagine? God had to get rid of that stuff. Now you got cave paintings that show humans riding certain large dinosaurs. What are the dinosaurs that they're riding? Triceratops, Stegosaurus, even a Brontosaurus, the big giant Brontosaurus like Fred Flintstone. And those are peaceful. But every one of those animals, guess what they ate? Vegetation. It's the carnivores that were gotten rid of. Now, of course, during the explosion thing, apparently the other dinosaurs got rid of too, and probably some of the humans that were here, because we know that there were multiple levels of humans throughout the time. So, and I believe that there were multiple humans, that Adam wasn't number one, but I tell you what he was. He was number one, sanctified. Adam was the first sanctified human being that was put. What do I mean by sanctified? He was put off into a special place, preserved and protected, called the Garden of Eden, where nobody else could get to him, and he wasn't supposed to get up out of there. Kind of like a laboratory of sorts, or a gated community. Let's put it that way. Like today we have gated community and you need a card to get in. Now you go break in there, of course, but you technically, if you're going to go through the front gate, they're going to check your ID. So everybody couldn't get to it. That's what Adam was. He was the first, sanctified, made just for God's purpose. Whereas these other humans, some of them were made by fallen angels, and others were made by God. There were some humans made by God, because when you look at Genesis chapter 2, and you see that, let's see here. This one here. verse 7 from chapter 2. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. So in the east part of Eden, he made a garden. So Eden is pretty big, but you go all the way to the east side, and there's a special garden there. And in there, he put the man that he formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life also is in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, he had already did all of that in chapter 1. So this is a whole different situation. This is a different tree, a tree of life, a tree of good and evil. This garden on the east side of Eden, this this place called Eden, which is a special place, and he only made a man. He didn't make Eve yet. He only made a man and put him in the garden by himself. Now, in the previous chapter, in chapter 1, he made a man and a woman and told them to be fruitful and multiply. So that was a whole family. This is something different. Totally different situation. So there's two groups. There's a group of people that were made that could make families and have children and all of that from day one. And then there's this group that's a sanctified group. The original sanctified group only had one being, a man. No woman was there. Then later on, Adam was put to sleep. He was manipulated and had a surgery on him. God woke him back up, presented him with the woman, and this woman was flesh of his flesh and bone of his bone. For somehow he knew that woman come from him. And of all of the creatures that God had brought to him before, he knew that they were other creatures and they were not him. But when he saw this woman, he said, "Now this right here, this is with me. This is a whole. I'm loving this." He loved that gift. He loved that woman, and that was his wife. But anyway, let me not get off. Let me not get off here. Let me get back to the study. Okay, we're now at Revelation 13, Revelation chapter 13, verse 4 through 18. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" Here we go with the war stuff again. Always with these people, always with the freaking war. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God. They're always talking bad about God, to blaspheme his name and his temple and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. Here we go again with messing with God's children. But listen, look at what it just said, though. He opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. Now, who dwells in heaven? All of the other angels, all of God's other creation that are angelic, that didn't get put out, that didn't get thrown out like Lucifer and all of his angels that fell with him. That's who. And these ones that's doing all of this fussing are the principalities and powers, this wickedness and high places and all of that. Is the fallen angels. And they have their children called the serpent seed down here that do their bidding. And they're the ones that's always with the war, always with the trouble, always against the saints, always against God, always against God's angels, always talking bad about heaven and everybody that's in heaven. Always the same players doing the same thing, but using humans as proxies for them. It's the same thing. But let's see what they do. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So there's some bad players that are over all the kindreds, tongues, and nations today. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. See, he's looking for worship, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. This has been going on since way back then, before the time, during that time that was void, when the earth was void and didn't have no form. And that's void and didn't have no form because God throwed Lucifer down here and blowed him up and messed up all his little creation down here. That's probably what happened. And then when God come down here to straighten things out, he put things back in order. When you read Genesis 1, some of the stuff is not necessarily God creating anything. There are parts where he creates. When he creates the people, when he creates the trees, he told the trees and stuff to come up out of the field. You got to read it. Let's go back to that really quick. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 1, and let's look at the creation story here. Okay. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, he created the heaven and the earth way in the beginning, whenever that was. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. So in the beginning, he created it, but then it got without form and void. Pay attention. So at first, he created it, and it's good. Then later, in verse 2, it became without form and void. I'm telling you, that's when he took Lucifer and throwed him up out of heaven and blew up stuff down here and tore stuff up. And it then became without form and void. Now let's see what happens after that. And he was going around upon the face of the deep. He was down here hovering around, flying, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. He checking everything out after he done tore it up. He done tore it up, and now he's checking it out. He's surveying it, which is no different. You know, you have a fire, and then you go out and you survey the land because you get ready to rebuild. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. So he's putting it back together now. And God saw the light, that it was good, and he divided it from the darkness. Now he's changing some things up. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. When you look at the old creation stories, there's like India has it too, where there's a war in the heavens, and this huge war, and they using weapons that just tear stuff apart and are the biggest weapons that were ever seen. Our nuclear stuff is nothing compared to it. And I think this is what that was. And God is putting everything back together, including the firmament. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So he put that back. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass. So he didn't make the grass. He had already made the earth back in the day. Now he's making the earth bring it back together. Do you remember, if you go outside right now in your yard, if your yard originally has grass, and you start cutting up one side and tearing stuff up, eventually that grass will grow back. And I think that's the same situation that's going on here. God originally made the yard initially, but then he tore it up when he threw Lucifer out of heaven and blowed up everything. And then he called on the earth to put itself back together. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? And then it started to come back together, because you can go down outside and cut down a tree, but if you leave that stump in the ground, in a lot of cases, not all cases, but in a lot of cases, that tree will grow back. I have seen it. You can cut your grass, but that grass starts to grow. You can cut it all day, but it'll grow back. And that's what I'm talking about here. You can cut a branch off of a tree, and now you go back out a little while later, the branch to grow back, and now fruit could bear. Now, sometimes it'll die, but other times it will grow back. There's a way to take care of it the right way if you're a botanist, and you could do it right. If you got the green thumb, then you know how to do it to where it can come right back together and be fruitful all over again. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, because he had already created it. So now he wants the earth to do its job again. The herb yielding seed, bring that back too. And the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind. And how does that happen? Whose seed is in itself upon the earth, and it will sow. You let them leave them pollen and all that stuff come out of them trees in the winter time. You come back around next spring, new stuff done growed up. Yeah. And the earth brought forth the, see, we have been seeing God's majesty for ages. We just ain't paying attention to it and giving it the due that is due. We have been watching his majesty happen over and over again after every season, especially during the winter time when it all gets cold and frozen and all that, and then that stuff thaw out by spring. Next thing you know, what do we say? April showers bring May flowers. That's the earth bringing forth its own seed and doing exactly what we see here in the scriptures. Pay attention and you see God's majesty out here. God said, let there be lights in the firmament. Now he made that. The heaven to divide the day from the night. He made that. And for it to be signs and for seasons, he had to straighten that out so it would be, he had to tune it so it would work properly and be the clock that we need. Every time you go outside, you see the same stars in the sky every night. Now, y'all quit lying, talking about we flying around in space and see different. We don't see nothing different. Every time you go outside, tonight, you go outside at a certain time, you can find the Big Dipper, the Little Dipper, and all the rest of the stuff. You could find Orion and all of that. All of the different signs you can find in the sky every single night. And it goes around the earth like a clock. So you looking up in the sky and it's the same clock. And guess what? That's how the Navy been navigating ships for years without GPS. They've been doing it by the stars, because it's the same stars every time. You can't keep navigating proper if the stars are changing positions. So y'all can quit with the lies. You need a steady thing. Just like when you go into a shipyard and there's a lighthouse there, it's always in the same spot. The lighthouse don't move. It's in the same spot. They don't change that. They don't change the runway. The runway stay where it's supposed to stay. And the numbers that they give the runway are according to its longitude and latitude and its position and all of that kind of thing. You don't just put things any kind of way, and you don't just number them any kind of way. They all have meaning and they stay still. They don't move. Now, y'all tell me I'm wrong. Well, you can't, because that's how you do stuff in this world. Everything is operated off of something that is fixed. You don't have stuff moving around. You don't have stuff moving around. The only thing that moves around is a aircraft carrier up and down and moving all around like this is. So that's why it's hard to land that plane on there. But That's the only thing that moved. Now, so now y'all get that. And now let's see where we at. We still reading Revelation. And what I want y'all to see here is there's messing with us still. And all of the people was worshiping him. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Our patience and faith of the saints is that we gonna get back. That's the patience and faith of the saints, is that one day all of that crap y'all been doing to us, it's gonna get done to you. Y'all been talking about this helter-skelter and the race war and all that. We ain't gonna do no race war to y'all. We ain't even thinking about nothing like that. But God, according to these scriptures, God gonna make some changes. God is gonna make some changes. God is gonna make some changes. These scriptures that you say you love so much, you better read them and see what they really say. You better tell your preacher to quit telling you these lies. Because while y'all in there talking about he's sweet, I know, you better find out who you talking about and what you really dealing with. Because he is sweet. I know it. But he's also rough, Jack. And many of y'all gonna pay for this putting laws and changing times and all, or you gonna be in trouble, Jack. So y'all better get it together. That's what y'all better do. And he that doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire. Wait a minute. And he exercises all power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. Now, I know that the people say that that's the Catholic Church. And I get it, because the Catholic Church did have a deadly wound that was healed up later. But I'm going to tell y'all who that really is. That's Lucifer when he was thrown out of heaven, and his deadly wound after he blew up and made that Chicxulub crater down there and was hurt down there, knocked up for a while, knocked out. Did you see that movie with Will Smith where he was the angel that come down and he fell down and was knocked out? Took him a while to come to. That's how Lucifer was. And then his wound was healed. That's the really who is this talking about. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. Yeah, because remember, Michael put his foot in his ass. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and the image of the beast both should speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell, save he had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now, this beast is making everybody worship the first beast. So when you look on your money and it says, "In God we trust," that's the God that it's referring to. It ain't referring to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's referring to the God of this world, the prince of the air, the world given over to the wicked. The one that got thrown down here and blowed up and made Chicxulub. That's the one. The one that made a whole bunch of people. Them cavemen that y'all love so much, and the Neanderthal and all that. Yeah, yeah. That fallen angel made them. That's why they have different. They're not. They're not the same as everybody else. There's what they call us. The modern humans would be us, and then you got the Neanderthal, and then there's another one. I forget what the other one's called, but there's multiple type of human. We are Homo sapien, and then you have Neanderthal, and then you have something else. Um, and to this day, you can check the DNA and see who's who, and you know which ones God made and which ones that the fallen angels made. It is what it is, and the ones that the fallen angels made is always messing around with war, fighting against the saints, cursing God, and all of that kind of thing, and worshiping the forces, and had the police forces and the military forces because that's their thing. And now they're worshiping a God that's different. That's where we're gonna go right now. Because look at this right here. Daniel 11:35 through 38. And some of them of understanding, and some of them of understanding shall fall, to try them and to purge and to make them white, even to the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. So some of the understanding people are going to be tried, and they're going to roll with the dark side per se. And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods. Here we go, against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished, for that is determined shall be done. So there's an expiration date on this cat. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all. So this one gonna be wild. He ain't even gonna deal with the God of his fathers, and he ain't even gonna want women. Oh, this one freaky deaky right here. But in his estate he shall honor the God of forces, and a God whom his fathers knew not shall he honor with gold, silver, precious stones, and pleasant things. Ooh, this one is something else. Now let's go to the next one. Man, we almost finished. Isaiah 28, chapter 28, verse 14 and 15. Wherefore, hear the word of God, you scornful men that rule this people which is in Jerusalem. See, once again, you're attacking Jerusalem, people, because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. They made a covenant with death. The people that are ruling over Jerusalem, ruling over the people of Jerusalem, have made a covenant with death, and with hell they are in agreement. So they've made a covenant with death. And to be in agreement with hell is to be in agreement with everybody that's in hell, which would be all of the fallen angels. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. They think they're going to get out of what's that lake of fire. For we have made our lies our refuge. They know it's not happening. And under falsehood have we hid ourselves. They know it ain't going to work. And yet they doing it. And then Jeremiah 6, verse 11 through 14. Therefore, I am full of the fury of the Lord. I am weary with holding it in. I will pour it out upon the children abroad and upon the assembly of young men together. For even the husband with the wife shall be taken, and age with him that is full of days. So this preacher right here is saying he tired of it. He got to tell it. And their houses shall be turned unto others, with their fields and wives together. For I will stretch out my hand upon the inhabitants of the land, says the Lord. For from the least of them, even unto the greatest of them, every one is given to covetousness. And from the prophet, even unto the priest, everyone deal falsely. So at the churches, we're not teaching what's really going on. Now I'm trying to show it here today. IUIC is trying to show it here today. Farrakhan is trying to show it here today. The pastor Geno Jennings is trying to show it here today. They have healed also the hurt of the daughter of my people slightly, saying peace, peace, when there is no peace. See, that's where the Christian church go wrong, because they always talking to the women and getting them all tuned up and saying that there is some peace. No, it's not. There's no peace. We are in a continuous war. I've read you all of these books and these scriptures, and we are in a continuous assault, a continuous war. And it all goes back to that original time that God throwed that fool up out of the kingdom and sent him down here, and he's been fighting ever since. And when he don't fight, he get his children to fight, his creation to fight. And his creation is always into war and destruction. And are we not in a war right now? We got some stuff going on over there in Ukraine. Now you say, well, that's Ukraine and Russia. That ain't us. Who giving Ukraine weapons? And who is Ukraine the proxy for? We is in war. And then you got the stuff going on in Israel right now, the Israel versus the Palestinians and all of that. And then who's been giving Israel weapons all this time? The United States been giving it to them. That's who. We is in war. And then we got the naval forces out there in the water right now, fighting against the Houthis and the Yemen and all this. I mean, it's almost a world war going on right now. You got Ukraine and Russia going on. You got Israel and Palestine going on. We still got the stuff over in Iraq going on. We still got some stuff in Afghanistan going on. We still got a little Pakistan going on. We still got a little Syria going on. Where else we got? Then we ain't even talk about all the stuff we got going on in Africa. We got a bunch of stuff going on there. And then now we got Yemen done got involved in this here. Saudi Arabia is on the lookout. Turkey is on the lookout. It's turning into a world war all over again. Yes, it is. Y'all better pay attention. I don't think y'all paying attention. Y'all so busy looking at Netflix. And y'all Netflix and chill and trying to go get you a Elon Musk car, get you a Tesla. You're too busy with that. And everything is slipping you by. And these nations have been going to war right in front of your face. And the only reason you're not paying attention because nobody tearing up nothing here in the United States. But it's coming. It's coming. And it ain't going to be good. According to the book of Revelations, they're going to join together and they're going to do some damage. But we ain't going to get into that tonight. We are quite done right now. It's been 2 hours. I hope y'all enjoyed the study. I thought it was going to be a little shorter, but it is what it is. But God bless you. God keep you. Pay attention. Look at this stuff. That's why I put the scriptures down there for you to read over again. I love y'all. See y'all next time. God's grace and covenant. Peace.